Imagine a society where atmospheric pollution has stopped. People's actions are no longer contributing to climate change, and there is room for nature. A society where we not only capture the CO2 we emit, but begin capturing more CO2 than we actually produce. A society that contributes to reversing climate change. This world is not out of reach, but to get there we need to change the way we use carbon resources. Today we are emitting enormous amounts of CO2 to the atmosphere, as we are still using fossil resources. We need to fundamentally change these actions. We need to reverse the flow and create negative emission by capturing more CO2 than we emit. But how do we get there? First, we have to reduce or even stop our emissions. This means changing the way we consume and reduce our use of carbon. Because the less we emit, the less we need to capture. We must replace fossils with energy from renewables and switch to electricity wherever possible. And use biofuels in the few places where it is not. Secondly, we have to capture and store carbon biologically in nature and in the materials we use. Plants, trees and algae have fantastic capabilities for capturing CO2 from the air, but it is released again when we use the biomass for energy, for example. That's why we also need to store CO2 and biomass as building materials, as well as in soils and nature. We need to think about everything in a circular way, develop endless loops and reuse scenarios. And yet, we still can't store enough CO2 with biomass alone. That's why, lastly, we need to capture and store CO2 technologically. This can be done by expanding our technologies to capture CO2 from the industry and the atmosphere and depositing the carbon deep underground. Or utilize it in innovative green carbon-based materials and chemicals. Collectively we call these efforts CCUS, Carbon Capture, Utilization and Storage. Our vision for a carbon-neutral future means making our society ready for the implementation of deep changes. Changes to the way we live and consume, changes to our planning and use of land and sea, changes to our policy, economy and legal regulations, and changes to our public engagement. All without compromising biodiversity and human conditions. To succeed, we need to accelerate innovation and innovative thinking across all sectors of society and make this change as fast and smooth as possible. If you want to join us, please reach out to the Green Solutions Center.